Good morning, Jim McKinnon here, CEO with Money Management Inc. We're going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. That's how Uncle Sugar is trying to take over us. And Uncle Joe is, boy, he's his number one servant. And I think maybe the devil's in charge too. I shouldn't say that, surely. Anyway, interesting article here. This is by Michael Geist, I think, or Guest, however you say that. He's a representative, I think he's down the coast, and he says this, as a former prosecutor, I am extremely troubled by the FBI raid at Mar-a-lago. The administration has failed to secure our borders and to stop out-of-control violent crimes, but has instead targeted the former president with their law enforcement resources. Folks, here's my question. If somebody, I'm assuming maybe Biden or maybe somebody a little bit, not too much lower than him, authorizes them to go to a former president of the United States house, private house, and take records and all this stuff, what the heck makes you think they can't come to yours? If you do, you're living in a dream world. This is getting to be more and more like a socialistic economy. It's got to stop. We got to put an end to it. Now, whether you like Trump, whether you don't like Trump, I don't like the fact that they went to his house and his personal house and did that. Now, when he was in the office, they could have done anything they wanted to. Anything. They could have walked into the presidential office and said, "Get out of here." Done whatever they want to do. That's wrong. We had a very good client when I was living in Cleveland, Ohio. He owned a manufacturing business. Unbeknownst to him, one of his employees had said that he was leaking some kind of poisonous stuff into the creek that was a little river creek went by the house, went by his business. One day, there were about 30 guys with machine guns from the appropriate federal agency that showed up. They backed them against the walls. They took all of their assets. They took all of their books. And all this while they could just sit there. I mean, yeah, how would you feel if somebody walks in with a machine gun? You didn't know, first of all, who they were. Now, they identified themselves as being federal agents, but, I'd probably been so nervous and scared I wouldn't have known who they were. I probably wouldn't have heard that part. Anyway, this guy called. I was in his broker's office when he called and said he needed all the cash he could get quickly. He was leaving the country. That's how serious it was. So out of about a $10 million account, he had about $2 million of cash, and this broker got him the $2 million of cash. To the best of my knowledge, he got out of the country with $2 million. Now, according to this man, he didn't do anything, but somebody in his organization said he did, and it ended up costing him at least $8 million because he had 10. They confiscated the 8, and he only got away with 2. Plus all the money his business was making, a successful business, hired I don't know, maybe 100 people. They didn't have jobs anymore, not paying taxes anymore. That's the pull of our government. They can do just about anything they want to do. Now, gets me upset greatly, as you can tell. Now, this guy, Guest, says he's got to get back to Washington to vote against the Inflation Reduction Act because he says it will not improve inflation for the American people in the short term, but it will increase taxes on hard-working Americans who cannot afford more liberal spending. He goes on to say, first they plan to increase taxes on Americans and hire an army, this will be exciting, won't it, of IRS agents to enforce the new tax hikes. Even though President Biden promised not to raise taxes on anybody making less than $400,000 a year, the tax committee has says this is going to affect everybody, including those earning less than $10,000 a year. A lot of difference between $10,000 and $400,000 in it. That's what's happening. All right, well, as the government starts to take control, there's a couple of steps that they go through to convert us truly from a democratic society to a socialistic society. First thing they do is they want to get our guns. Now, I think they've tried that, and they're not going to come to your house and take them. Not yet. But they realize that's going to be a pretty tough sell. Now, here's something else they've tried. How about ammo? We'll just tell the companies that are making ammo to quit, and they have done that. quit making ammo. Quit making so much ammo. From time to time, you haven't been able to get ammo. Now, folks, I could care less. I got more ammo to last me for the next 50 years, and I'm not going to live that long. Most people in the South that we are used to guns, we're used to using them, we know how to use them, we know what they're good for, and blah, blah, blah. We got plenty of ammo, so that ain't going to work. I mean, it may work in other parts of the country. Now, once they got our guns, we don't have ammo for our guns, second step is to make us totally dependent on the government. Totally dependent. Everything I need, big government's going to provide. It just makes more crooks, more crooks, more crooks. And who gets screwed? You and me, American people. This has to stop. Now, I told you in an earlier podcast that I vote against incumbents. I don't care who they are. Don't make a difference. If you've been up there in Washington for the last 4 years or the last 20 years, and things are in the shape they're in now, don't tell me that if I give you 4 more years, you're going to go back and do something. I don't believe it. That's insanity. Insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. I don't believe it. I don't want any part of you. I want you out. I want you out. By the way, I took a trip to Nashville a couple of months ago. I was in the first seat in coach. In the last seat in first class was our senator, Cindy Hyde-Smith. Now, I couldn't afford to fly me first class, but I could afford to fly Cindy. Isn't that neat? And I've been on lots of flights, folks, and I've seen the representatives. They're flying first class because it's our money. Oh, aren't these great servants? Crooks! They're crooks! Anyway, vote against the incumbents. Vote against them. You know, you want to keep getting what we're getting, keep voting for the incumbents because that's exactly what you're going to get. And you know what? That's insanity. It means that you and I are insane if we continue to put up with it. Hey, hate to be negative, but I got to get that out of the way. I got it out of the way. I'll be ready to go again Monday. Hey, hope you have a great weekend.